think it's been a month since I did this video blog, so having by chance seen I'm at 500 subscribers, yay! There's another installment for you. So hopefully this one's going to be productive. I've also noticed there's some mic issues as the volume was very low, and so to correct that, what we're doing from now on is transferring this to computer, boosting the volume, and that's it. We're not going to put in any flashy edits. We're not going to put in any transitions, any of video clips. If you want to occupy yourself, just look at that or analyze this or continue to admire the books and anything else that might happen here. A few things I want to discuss actually is what I've been up to. I'm currently reading this with The Superior Man. I've read it before, but it was a PDF version, which is just not the same. Likewise, I finished reading Lies My History Teacher Told Me, but it was a PDF, so it's not the same at all. Whereas when you actually have these hard copies, you can underline stuff, you can highlight things even, you could emphasize, you could stress other things, and I prefer to do that. As they say, don't read a book, use a book. Also, I've been ordering quite a lot of texts, so this one literally just came right now. It's another book I had before, but I gave it away, and I wanted it again. I actually liked some of the stuff they were saying, so I ordered it again. And this is where a lot of money actually goes, sadly, on books, on text. This is how I spend a lot. And it's funny because when I didn't have money, I used to always see these books I wanted and I couldn't buy them. So this is one of those compensatory mechanisms which I'm enjoying. I've had this for ages, but I said I'm finally going to read this. So I'm going to read all 3 volumes, all 3 editions. And then I'm going to hopefully move on to this, John Allen Paulos, Mathematician Reads the Newspaper. Similarly, going to move on to this. I've listened to him speak on YouTube. From memory, it weren't anything to really keep my attention. And a couple of chapters in this, I think I might even just read this today, as I've been banned yet again from Snapchat. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. And it just goes to show that these platforms are not that reliable. Even this YouTube, I've had a couple of strikes, so who really knows what's going to happen when we're on these actual stages, for want of a better word, that we don't control. They're quite foreign, they're quite alien to us. I have a call coming in. I might have to edit this. So let's see. So we're back. That was free, my service provider. And what they actually did is they raised my contract from £15 to 25. But just now they called me trying to offer me a new phone. I told them I don't want that. I want you to just put my price plan back to where it was. So I'll give it some confusion, as it were. Okay, where was we? And the camera's now gone low, which is irritating. So let's stretch. There we go. There we go. Actually, I have some other notes. Things I've been up to. Well, apparently this face mask stuff's going to end shortly on the 19th. Again, the keyword here is apparently. So some of the travel restrictions will be lifted, of course, but for me it's been a disaster already. So when you look at some of the online monitoring, the surveillance, the speech regulation, I don't think you could really undo all of that stuff. The damage has been done. That legislation is already being put into effect. All those changes in policy have already occurred. And even right now, you've got this England situation going on. It's like, oh, English players, racial abuse. It's a disgrace for the tech companies. What they need to do is they need to start to closely monitor. Close your laptop. Because I get it. On one hand, it's not just about us looking out for the safety and welfare of these millionaires. It's what's going to happen to us on the streets. But I'm telling people, like, I've got issues with this whole English thing because who told you to get an English flag to begin with? Yeah, I know Italy, Balotelli, their first Negroid international. That's my question. Who told you to support England? And I was trying to show people the unwanted, the hidden Rhinos files. I've been trying to show them that for ages. I've been even thinking back to the passport situation, where from memory it said something along the lines of being born in Britain does not make you British. So again, also been thinking to this transition of or how we went from West Indian to British or Black Britons and the like. And it seems to fall on deaf ears. That's what it is. It seems people are so desperate to believe in this project of Britishness that we have these contradictions and absurdities overlooked. So what happened with England is they lost to Italy on penalties, and forget their tactics, forget the fact that it's difficult to even understand how they got to the final. We somehow just have to focus on these three black players who were quote unquote abused because they missed spot kicks. That becomes the emphasis. That's the narrative, that's the framework, that's the discussion, that's the only perspective that we have. And it's ironic because I was pointing out to someone Frank Furedi's text, The Silent War, and I brought this passage back today. And consider this is from The Silent War, the introduction alone, page 4. It says, this is 100 years ago. In 1921, British Foreign Office Memorandum, Racial Discrimination and Immigration, bluntly stated, Great Britain, the Dominions and the United States are all equally interested in avoiding a discussion on this subject. Talking about race domination. He continues, another quote, Whitehall fully endorsed the memorandum. The standard response adopted towards racial issues was not to discuss them. Such an approach continued to inform British and American foreign policy, even after the principle of race equality had been accepted in the 1940s. The fundamental principle of American and British policy on race relations propaganda was one of evasion. British officials argued that the emotionalism which surrounds the whole question of race and colour prejudice made rational discussion impossible. Another argument used to play down the issue of race was the proposition that an open discussion of the subject would make people of colour more conscious of their differences compared with Europeans. Final passage now. The lack of openness reflected a sense of disquiet about strongly held views that could no longer be voiced in public. This was an issue that called into question fundamental assumptions about the global and historical role of the West. The silencing of race relations was symptomatic of a defensiveness about beliefs that were essential to the outlook of the Western ruling classes. That's 100 years ago. And it's funny because even today I mentioned the ISIS papers, 1971, and that's 50 years ago. And a contention that we're at war and we don't even know we're in the theatre of conflict, the battle arena. Whereas Ruffing also says, are you trying to win or just look or losing? So instead of commending people that are calling us nignogs and the like online, they're being attacked rather than appreciating. Those are the few honest people who are helping us to see the world clearly, who are facilitating our growth, and who are actually identifying the ongoing and persistent problems of black exclusion and black otherness. But they get silenced. And instead we get this liberal view slant that says racial harmony, there's no issues going on, everything's fine and dandy, shut up and get back to work, Negroes. Forget these bad apples, so they're evil. Shut up, ban them off the internet. Everyone just go along, racial harmony, it's all good. And that's what I'm saying. You see, the fans who call you monkey are your friends. The issue is the people who are silent, who are pretending everything's fine, are trying to take this discussion off the table. Because what they're trying to do is remove the signs so that you have no frame of reference. They're trying to make you forget you're in a prison. or to hide it so much you don't even realize. So when things go wrong in your life, it's like, I must be inferior. No one's holding me down. I'm backwards. Instead of saying no. There's specific practices, codes, modes of relating that distinctly oppress, subjugate, exclude, and exploit non-white bodies. This discussion gets lost because all we focus on is they are attacking these people who miss penalties. This is Great Britain. We don't see colour. This discussion becomes the focal point, whereas the more constructive analysis is totally sidetracked, ignored, overlooked, marginalised. And this is why we go in circles, because we still have this clownish approach to dealing with things, whereby in this world upside down, as Eduardo Galeano said, and as Amos Wilson said, we have a school system that miseducates, we have police that do injustice, we have child support agencies that damage children, we have markets that push people out. Everything is backwards. We have religions that send people to hell, as the joke goes. And yet we think when it comes to race domination, discussing that, that's going to be the one area of clarity. Despite the fact everything else is geared towards deception, disguise, covert operations, it's difficult for some of us to comprehend that only by looking at things backwards, the other way, you can see them clearly. That's what I'm saying with this England situation. These people who call you ape, coon, porch monkey, tree hopper, spear tracker, these are your friends. They're helping you to see the world clearly. These people who say brother, who give you the fist bump, these are the people to watch out for. They are trying to confuse you and disarm you. They are trying to render you impotent, harmless, to ensure you are not a threat to the established order of power. It's the same with this online censorship stuff. People want you to be offended by certain things, by discussions, by comments and remarks. Because they're fine with you being oppressed, excluded, marginalised. But feeling good about yourself, that's what they want. They want you to be very, very happy. Forget the fact you can't find work, or as Ralph Ellison said, a situation of keep this nigga running. Forget that. No one's calling you ape. So where's the evidence that you're being discriminated against or oppressed or subject to white dominations? They're trying to obliterate these clear distinctions and markers so that they can continue to rule and be in power. And sadly, I think a lot of people have bought into this. I think the proverbial white working class have bought into this as well, because it disguises the vested interest that so many people have in the rape of the continent and in the degradation of black bodies, the erasure of black bodies, black voices and black narratives. This all gets lost, submerged, diluted in this quiet, inane rhetoric of holding hands, smiling, we shall overcome, the bad apples approach, or the friendship orthodoxy, as Benjamin Demotte said in 1995, this the time to kill paradigm of, if you just get people to see us as human, then we shall triumph. This premise that Tommy Curry attacks so frequently. This idea of bad people, I think it's bad actors, but that if you just erase these 5 evil people who are foaming at the mouth and calling us N-words, everything will be fine. I think that's what Calvin was saying, the politics of hope. Whereas he was saying in the Boondocks, hope is a dangerous thing. And rather than look at black excellence, we're still engaged in this paradigm of mediocrity. And it hurts us. It hurts us. I'm going to leave it there. And thank you all for tuning in, because I want to keep at the 15-minute mark. These are my blue light glasses. These are my blue and red lamps. I'm gonna go try out this stuff they're saying about proper lighting in your household.